He's back again. He's Mark Hilliard, president of the Indiana County Chamber of Commerce, joining us here on this Monday. Our conversation brought to you by Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. Mark, good morning to you.
Good morning.
We were talking last week about assistance that is available for folks with COVID-19, for business folks to keep going. We've got all kinds of different programs that are available, PPP and other things, grants and loans and everything. It's kind of hard to keep track of everything that's available out there, isn't it?
It is. We try to send out enough information, but sometimes we feel that can be a little bit overwhelming. So we do our best, with our emails and posts on Facebook to kind of pick through the relevant information and try to send out what we can to help guide businesses. But we really encourage someone, if they're looking for financial assistance or any assistance, to give our office a call or even call the Indiana County Office of Planning and Development, and we'll be able to walk you through it and tell you what's available, if you qualify, if you're eligible for it. But, keep an eye out for any correspondence that we send out or keep an eye on our Facebook page as we try to update that pretty regularly. But it does become a little bit overwhelming, even for us, because it's a good thing that there's so much that is coming out there right now. The latest for the hospitality industry, which has really been hit hard. But if you're unsure and you read through some of the information and it's still not clear whether or not you're eligible, give us a call and we'll help walk you through it.
Yeah, all of that stuff. We were talking about that last week with you. Meanwhile, you went and you had yourself your February board meeting. Of course, everything is virtual these days, and you were still able to hold your meeting. Highlights included an update on the regional greenhouse gas initiative from your standpoint, evidently getting together with some other counties to see if you can't convince the Governor Wolf to at least take a look at other alternatives.
Yeah, well, I don't know how well that's going to go. What we really want to do is be able to get an audience with the governor. And I've met with representatives from Cambria County and Armstrong County who, we're ground zero for this initiative, unfortunately, but those two are right next door, and they're going to be hit maybe not quite as hard, but pretty hard. And our three counties are going to be the worst in the state in terms of the economic impact of this if it goes through. So we met and discussed some alternatives. That we drafted a letter that we put together to get signatures from county commissioners from all three counties, the head of the chamber from all three counties, and some other folks. And we're going to have it delivered to Governor Wolf's office. And the letter does express why we're against this, but primarily it's an opportunity to try to invite him to come to this county and meet with us face to face. I know there's some other groups that are also trying to get him to meet, and I think the deputy chief of staff is going to meet with some folks from Armstrong and Indiana counties here on February the 23rd via Skype. But we don't want lip service. We want him to be able to speak directly to our county leaders. Not necessarily what all other alternatives there might be, in terms of this initiative, what options there might be to not have to go full force with this thing. But also, if it does go through, we want him to look us in the eye and see who he's going to be impacting, how many jobs are going to be impacted, and, what are the alternatives for us? How are they going to take care of our county and these other counties if we do face this hit? So, we're hopeful that this will at least get his attention, and maybe we can at least get an audience with him and start to discuss things, whether or not it's going to change his mind or change the direction. I don't know. There's been a lot of stubbornness there from the beginning, but I think that if anything, hopefully it opens the door for some other opportunities economically for our county.
Yeah. Well, that was one of the items covered at the chamber board meeting. There were many areas of concern that were raised and discussed. What for you were some of the highlights?
Well, one of the things that we've done differently this year for the chamber board meetings is try to focus more on each meeting, focus on a different industry and have a more focused discussion on that to try to create some action plans. This month, we invited Dr. Richard Neff, who's the Chief Medical Officer at IRMC, to talk about health care, along with a couple of the members of our board, Wendy Hazlip and Mark Olvik, who are both with IRMC as well. And the discussion was a lot about the vaccinations, and it opened a lot of the eyes of some of the board members in terms of just the process and all the struggles that they're going through. and truthfully, IRM sees them, and even though there's been some frustration, a great job, because there has not been any waste in terms of the vaccines that have been coming here. It's not been real consistent, and the communication has not been the most consistent from the state's level. But we try to put some of that information out there, and we're going to continue to try to put some of that out there, even though it's not 100% business related. But we had an update on Friday that we put out, and we're going to try to continue to do that just to make sure that we are able to get the information out there to people. But that was the main topic that we discussed. Reggie obviously is still, at the front of everyone's mind, just because it's still hanging out there. But there's a lot of good information and some good things happening too. We did talk a little bit about the New Village Initiative, and they're moving through the process, and we're hoping that they'll be able to receive accreditation here soon, as they just applied for it again, and I think that's coming up here shortly. So hopefully that is able to move forward, and we get that former Wildtech facility back reopened shortly.
Yeah, that would be a really, really big thing for Indiana County. My goodness. And for that Blairsville corridor, too, that would just be a tremendous thing. We were talking with Bob Pollock from the Extension Service on Friday in his weekly segment, and one of the things that we talked about was the fact that Penn State Extension specifically, has signed on to help to facilitate through REA and through other suppliers the possibility of broadband internet service coming to some of our more rural areas. So where REA's already wired in, for instance, and they've already made the commitment that they're going to do their best to bring it about. It's good to see these agencies coming together, using some federal monies that are available as well. I'm sure that everybody involved with the chamber has an ear to those things to make sure that happens. We're actually going to get some Penn State folks on with us later this week.
Well, I think that if there's a good thing that came out of the pandemic, it was really the funding, number one, that went towards broadband in our county. I think it's also the awareness that was brought, how important that is for some of these areas when you're kind of forced into being at home, either working from home or doing school from home. You truly see the spots that are without it, and how much of an impact that makes, and it's just not a level playing field for people. And in today's day and age, you need that. And thankfully, we were able to get some funding through the CARES Act that has made a significant impact. But there's still a long way to go, and we need other organizations. And I know REA has been working and coming up with different alternatives and some ideas from the beginning. They've been working for a while now to try to come up with some ways to help make an impact there. But we still have a ways to go, but we do need a good team effort, and I think we've gotten that. I think continuing to see that, but it also is going to take additional money, and hopefully we're able to uncover more and find ways to get everybody wired up.
I saw a note from the chamber board meeting as well, Senator Pittman and Representative Struzzi talking about a number of different items, including the state budget. Not exactly thrilled with the governor's proposal, but what caught my attention was the idea of further work to make better use of the Jimmy Stewart Airport. That's something that, for a lot of years, people have been trying to make that airport even more viable than it is right now for a business standpoint. And who knows if ever there becomes passenger service out of Indiana County, but certainly from a business standpoint, improvements at the airport are really, really key.
Yeah, and it's encouraging to see some of the ideas. It really can make that airport even better than it already is. And I think talking about even from a small level, a little playground near the Jimmy Stewart airplane that is up there. So a playground for the kids becoming more of a family type of destination, but also a charter service. The Jimmy Jet, building a hangar large enough to be able to house that. And if we start, that's a step towards kind of the passenger service, being able to have a charter service out of Jimmy Stewart Airport. So to be able to have the funding for something like that, and I know there are talks of some other improvements and some other additions to that airport to make it even bigger and better. But that's something that if we can continue to grow that, it's going to be better for business in the area. Certainly better for consumers and people who may want to use it. But I think it's more of an attraction for businesses who might want to relocate here. So we're taking steps. The funding is starting to become available, and I think you're going to start seeing some of those things in place here, within the year. I think some of those things may come to fruition, but, there's still a lot more talk about some other opportunities to improve that airport and create some more additions and make it even more attractive than it already is.
Back in the old days, which would be, say, 2019 and early 2020, those were the old days. Back in the old days, we would talk with you about upcoming chamber events, mixers and other things that are held, networking type of things. Are you able to
What
do
are those
those?
things?
Yeah. Are you able to do anything along the lines of those types of get-togethers anymore?
So we're hopeful we will be soon. It just, at this point, it's not in the best interest to try to do that. I think we're heading in that direction. We are able to try to do these in-person board meetings because we're able to distance and spread out, and places like the Country Club and the Hilton Garden Inn have been accommodating for us to be able to do that. We're planning on our State of the County address in April. We did that last June with the county commissioners, but we are looking at more of a virtual option and maybe partnering with IUP as we did with Candidates Night back in the fall. But that will still be kind of a virtual event in April. But, we're hopeful that the Hall of Fame dinner will be able to be held this summer in person. We're thinking by then the vaccines will be out and we should have enough momentum and be able to do something like that safely. My guess is as we get closer to the spring, warmer weather starts coming back. That's hard to believe right now this week. But, I do think that we're going to start to see those events start to happen more. We're not quite there yet. We're still looking at different virtual options, like the couch shopping. That was pretty successful for us. But I think, we're hopeful we can start doing it soon here in the spring, and people are going to be confident. I think once it does start to happen, Todd, it's going to explode. I think people are going to start to really get that cabin fever out of their system and want to get out and attend a lot of these things.
Yeah, they're hungry for that. Mark Hilliard, thanks so much for spending some time with us today. It's been informative.
Thanks, Todd. I appreciate it.
Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
It is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM and AM 1160 and AM 1160.